Women in Business workshop. It's the first in a series of upcoming workshops. What we're about is that we are a women empowerment organization. We seek to promote cultural diversity within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. My name is Mercy, and Letisia, who's joining me today, we're the co-founders of Hru Global. And just to also let you know, we have Millie, one of our interns, who's going to be in the chat moderating. Feel free to ask questions, make comments, and she'll be just raising some of the points across. And also feel free we'll allow a very interactive workshop. So feel free to also, unmute if you have any questions so that we can make this as interactive as possible. So a little bit about myself. I was originally from Kenya, and I grew up in Canada. And my professional background is in accounting. So I've worked in accounting in Canada, and I moved here in 2017. So currently we live in Adelaide. We're currently based in Adelaide. So I moved here in 2017 to pursue my MBA at the University of Adelaide. And it was just a really good opportunity to delve into this entrepreneurship ecosystem. And I've been privileged and to be able to work with some amazing startups here in South Australia, been involved a lot. So I really am passionate about startups, and I'm also passionate about women and women startups. And I'll also let Letisia just give a brief intro also about herself.
Thank you, Mercy. So as Mercy said, I am Letisia Odeke, the co-founder of Hru Global. My professional background is in IT, and culturally, I was born in Uganda, raised in both South Africa and Australia. I met Mercy through our MBA program at the University of Adelaide. And to be honest, when I first met her, I don't think we quite got on. However, coming from rival countries, I reckon that people can totally resonate with where I was coming from, at least. However, we moved past that, and we connected because we had the shared passion in empowering women, especially in women in underserved communities. Also, that cultural diversity, we wanted to see more women in the entrepreneur ecosystem. But also for me, coming from a STEM field, I wanted to see more women going into your science, technology, engineering, mathematical field. So yeah, and I'll just let Mercy continue off after we joined university together.
Yeah, so we basically ended up using that time in uni to develop a business, and originally we were looking at actually doing something in developing countries, but because of our distance to our home countries, we weren't able to do that. So we started the company in 2018, and it was originally called Rise Up, and we've since evolved as we were evolving our business model and iterating our business plan and everything. We changed the name to Hru Global because we wanted to have a broader reach. We wanted to connect to women in other countries, beyond our home countries and even beyond Australia. So Hru Global, became a company from that point.
So Hru Global, you've probably been hearing us talk about Hru Global. What are we? So our solution is an online platform that provides women entrepreneurs with a marketplace to sell products, products that are showing initial traction. So they should have had some sort of market feasibility testing, and are relatively confident that their product is meeting a customer need. As part of Rise Up, we've also got workshops such as these. This being our first one, yay! So the people who are on our platform will have access to these workshops for capacity building as well as business development. In addition, we also offer resources to connect women entrepreneurs with potential industry experts, as well as investors. And these industry experts are people that we've made network connections we've made along the way through our university degree, but also as we continue forward with this slide, you'll see the networks that we have connected, and that's what we want to bring to women entrepreneurs here. Just before you continue, The other thing we do as well is just to share stories of our women entrepreneurs, because we found that stories are so empowering, especially when it comes to aspiring people who may look like you or me, and are not necessarily well presented in that ecosystem. So, yep.
So today we will be touching a little bit about, sort of pitfalls, challenges that we've seen through our research, successes, as well as, just talk a bit about the economy and, tools and resources that we've come across that we'd really love to share with everybody who's on the call. So before we, start getting deeper into the conversation today, we want to hear you. So please, we'd love to, get a few people on the call to share a bit about themselves, what they're doing. If you are in, in a bit, not necessarily running a business, but just doing something different, we still want to hear from you. So we're opening up the call to other people to just share.
Who's going to be gutsy? Who's going to be the first? It can be anything.
I'll go.
Yes, thank you, Sandra.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for actually setting this up, by the way. Very excited to hear from you girls. My background is Kenyan. I've been living in Melbourne and working here for the past 9 years now. I'm currently full-time employed as an interior designer. So I work for an architecture practice, but I recently just set up my own independent practice. So I kind of have one leg in, one leg out. So I guess this will be really insightful in terms of moving forward and how to, take that leap.
Thank you, Sandra. That sounds very exciting, and we'd absolutely love to connect with people like yourself, and actually get even your story out there as to how you started, what made you think about starting, and what your successes are. I'm going to open up the floor to just one more person. Please don't be shy. We're all no judgment or anything.
I'll go up. Sandra, thank you so much for sharing that. I love to see more Black women in not so Black friendly spaces. So that's incredible. I'll definitely share your name to some of my family in Melbourne who are opening up businesses and looking for somebody to make it look nice and spicy. So I'm so happy to have come across you. My name is Mam Suku Banyande. I'm originally from Sierra Leone. I migrated here 2004, so I did my primary school, secondary school, and university here. I work in the community sector, so I'm a project officer and coordinator for the Salisbury Council. So this is the northern suburb here in SA. And since I migrated to Australia, I've worked highly within the African Communities Council, and that's where my business idea came from. So I work majority with African women, and my goal is to educate and inspire young African women to open up their own businesses if they don't want to open up their businesses, but work for Black-owned businesses. So I relaunched my business this year, and I did a mental health workshop with incredible Khadija Blah, who was a FGM activist. She's just an overall superwoman, and we're able to talk about African women's mental health, especially during COVID and what happened with those 3 African girls whose identities were now plastered over the media. So a lot of the work that a lot of what my business aims to do is just to hold important conversations, but in doing that also creating a network of African-owned businesses here in SA and letting them know where they are, who is who, and encouraging and empowering the next generation of African women to hold their voices and stand strong in that.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And it's really, we're so glad to hear from you and, make that connection. And we want to, get connected, do more work, potentially even look at collaborating. What can we do together to, make this space so much better for other women like ourselves and just the broader community. So thank you so much. So we're just going to continue, but we will open up the space for others to share as we move along.
And also feel free to add anything onto the chat
if
you'd like us to talk about it at the end.
Yeah.
All right. back to the slide. So as part of our research we conducted, we found that women entrepreneurs were subject to quite a number of pitfalls, and we've just listed the top 7 there, and I can certainly pick out a few that we have had since the start of our enterprise. And I think the first one would be thinking that before we go into a pitch, we need to have everything. You know, we need to have our ducks in a row. The capital has to be there. We need to have the right networks. We need to have, acquired a space. We need to have every single detail of our startup in place. And that's not necessarily always true. And that does hamper a lot of, especially women entrepreneurs, from doing that. So I would say, and what we've learned, from our experience, is that even if it's just an idea, even if it's just something you think, okay, may get traction, you've got, you've realized that there's a gap in the market, just pitch it. Even if you don't have a team, even if you don't have a plan, just pitch it. And what you'll find, and what we certainly found through these pitches, is that we've gotten networks from them. We've gotten different ideas. We've pivoted a lot because of these pitches, and we've become better at pitching. I remember when we first had our first pitch, we were just so scared and we're shaking. We're in this sea of white middle-aged men. But from that and the information that we got from that really helped us modify and change our position. The other one is funding. Funding is always a big one, synonymous with any business or starting up a business. And I would say that with funding, go for those grants. Don't feel demotivated if you are rejected. We've gone through and tried to get through grants, have been rejected. That doesn't mean that that's the end. It doesn't mean that your business idea is not good enough. It doesn't mean that that's where you stop. I would say even if you do get rejected, look at the response that you've gotten, try and find out why you've been rejected, and then try and tailor your response, and then reapply for that same grant maybe in the next intake. So I would like to hear personally also from you guys, what are pitfalls that you have faced? It doesn't have to be the 7 that we've listed. It can be something completely different. So feel free to either put it in the chat or let us know. And welcome to those of us who have joined.
Yeah, welcome Brenda.
And Brenda.
One of my biggest pitfalls, I think maybe you guys can resonate with it, was when I first started, because I had worked in the African Communities Council for such a long time, I expected that support. And it was really disappointing when I didn't get it. Because I've worked with you guys know me, we're kind of cool, we're friends, aren't we? Like, what's going on? So when I didn't get that support, it was really crushing, because I think as African American people here in Australia, we crave the support from our own people because nobody else understands our struggle the way we do. So when I didn't get that, and I got it more from my co-workers, and also when I was pitching my ideas to different organizations to see how best they can collaborate, help me with, they were more interested and eager to help me out than people within the African communities here. And it was hurtful, to say the least.
Yeah, and we definitely resonate with that. We've gone through so many different processes. You speak to somebody and they'll tell you that's a really good idea, go for it. But 10 days later or a few weeks later, that person's not responding to emails or liking your page or, following. And it can be very disheartening, because you're like, I've worked so hard, I want to continue pushing this forward. But I feel like we just need to, develop a community that encourages each other. And even with us developing this platform, it's really to keep, women pushing forward, because it's a long journey. It's a long process to actually get to the point where you're making money, you're successful. And if we don't encourage each other, nobody else is going to do it. So we have to really start it from ourselves and, evolve as we go and develop as we go.
I completely agree with you. And even when we look at our networks, we have and I'm not saying this to, we have very few networks within the African community. And it's certainly an area that we're looking to drum up more support in, but I wonder if it's also because they don't necessarily see or realize the potential as we do now. And I guess that's why we also want to have those stories of like yourself and how you share, you know, how you got to where you got, and that could inspire like a whole generation of up and coming people, not just within the African community, within the migrant sector, within you know, even indigenous communities, but even within people who just have not had the opportunity, irrespective of race or
even in terms of financial, you know, not everybody is coming from a background where they have their dad who, you know, maybe is running a business, or even their families here. So there's different, even within just the broader, you know, women groups, there's a lot of challenges that a lot of us are facing, and I think if we come together, we can make something much bigger than we already have at the moment. Yeah. So anybody else want to share a challenge? Just maybe another person?
We have someone in the chat. Yeah, so the founder of Black Owned Australia, the main aim of their group is to strengthen the economic wealth in our community, creating platforms and opportunities for Black owned businesses to connect with consumers. And our aim is to lay the foundations for our children so that they can have that stepping stone to success. And we have groups in every capital city and state in Australia.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anna would
More
definitely...
of a success than a pitfall there. So
yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, we'd definitely like to connect with you.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and I almost forgot our daily mantra, which is basically looking at things on a day-to-day basis. It's so easy for us to think about the end goal and how we're going to get there, and sometimes we can get anxious about getting there. But what Mercy and I have certainly learned is just figuring out what we're going to do today, making sure that we check that off, and then you know, as Mercy said, we started in 2018, and we've come a very long way. And just having that day-to-day focus has really helped us just focus and not worry about, you know, who's said no to us, who's not agreed with our idea. So that's something that I would definitely encourage you guys to do. Just think of it on a day-to-day basis.
I just wanted to ask. Sorry, can you hear me?
That's
yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
I just wanted to ask, what's a business model? I think I missed that.
Yeah, so we just started that with Hru Global. So we're an online platform for women entrepreneurs who are selling things online and are showing initial traction. So in addition to that platform, we'll have workshops for the women entrepreneurs to build up their capacity and business development. And we're also going to connect them with potential investors, as well as industry experts. So that's what we're doing. But we're basically wanting to just promote economic diversity within our entrepreneurial space, and just empower women who are thinking about, you know, entering that business world with, you know, information for obtaining grants, capital, for how to run their businesses. And I guess this is why we're having these type of workshops, to gauge from you guys what we need to be focusing on, and then building and tailoring our workshops to meet those needs.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is definitely an asset-based. So where do you get the products from? And
so the products are actually from, you know, yourself. For example, like if you have a product that you've developed and created, you can log onto a website and basically create a shop. And the shop, you know, you basically, you know how Etsy works, where you create a shop and you start selling your product. So it enables you to have that web presence. And you're actually asking a question that is leading on to my next slide, which is perfect.
Cool. I'll be patient then.
No worries. So one of the things that we discovered as part of our research before we got started in the beginning, and as part of our journey, was that 60% of women-led businesses in Australia don't have a web presence. And out of this, we also discovered that some of the challenges they faced was acquiring customers, and that they also required business development support. So because of this, we decided that we wanted to create something, a platform that would enable them to have that online web presence. So if you're a business owner, you've created a product and you want to start, gaining customers, start to test it so that you can, see if people like it, see if people, is it meeting that need in the market. You can put it on our platform and start selling it. And on our platform, you'll also be able to get reviews of how your product is doing. And through these workshops that we'll be conducting now and into 2021, these workshops will enable you to find different ways to make your product better, and to also find different ways that you can easily reach out to customers. And we want feedback. Like on our platform, we want to be able to really understand what our customers are looking for. What are the areas where they're struggling with? Some people might be struggling with marketing. Some people might be struggling with accounting. We want to be able to, create and curate workshops that will be able to meet those needs, so that we can really understand and help our business owners also understand their market properly. Yeah. So in another question that we thought about as part of this workshop was, what types of supports for those who are already running a business, what type of support are you looking for? What areas do you need support in?
Hi guys, I might ask.
Yep, go ahead.
Or rather answer. For my particular organization, I don't know if my internet's a bit lagging. Are you guys experiencing that, or?
You sound just fine.
Yes. Yep.
Perfect. The support I guess my organization would need is what category it falls into. So to know if I'm trying to pursue not-for-profit, social enterprise, that's kind of the support my organization has needed.
Mm-hmm.
And may I ask, if you feel that you can answer that, which area are you leaning into? Have you made a decision? Are you still umming and ahhing about it?
And if you're also able, maybe share a little bit about your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an organization called We Are the Movement, and what it endeavors to do is improve access to social services for BIPOC communities, such as mental health, education, employment. We also run virtual events, and the end goal will be to build a community hub where individuals can come to a physical location and seek the help that they need, be it having lived here for 20 years or just new to the country. And we also currently have a website. I'm gravitating towards social enterprise because I want us to be able to generate funds so that there can be cash flow for our organization and we're not reliant solely on funding.
Yeah.
The essence is to create opportunity. And I believe we need money to do that.
And that's a really good point that you've made, with a lot of businesses that are just in the process of starting up, funding is a huge challenge and a barrier to entry. Even, you think about it, and we were speaking about this earlier, it's one of those pitfalls. You decide, this is my business idea, but I don't have enough money to move it forward and to keep pushing on forward. So one thing that maybe we could say is like identify, and we'll speak into this a little bit later, is just start working on a business model canvas, for example, and also like a value proposition canvas, which will really help you decide who your customers are, who are the people who need your business, and figure out what their needs are. And then that could be once you understand your business and the value that you're offering to your customers, then you can decide whether it is a charity or a social enterprise, or potentially you might even find that not necessarily that it's like you could even potentially just be a for-profit organization. You could start finding ways of making money. So we'll touch upon the business model canvas, and in a future workshop we'll dig deeper into that, and also a value proposition. But I feel like these are tools that could really help you and assist you in moving your idea forward, and really growing it out there and expanding and potentially scaling up in the Australian market and also globally.
Yeah. And I was just going to touch on that social enterprise. It's something I know other countries such as the US, Canada have got what they call a B Corp, which is essentially that social enterprise model. And we don't necessarily have it in Australia yet. It is coming, but it leaves us sort of in that place of, where do we fall under, what constitutes as a social enterprise? Is it essentially just a for-profit? And then, going down that charity avenue, yes, there's so many, and this is what we found, there's so many grant opportunities for charities, but then when that social enterprise angle comes in, that's diminished. So there's a lot to think about there. And even with HRU Global, that's what we were looking at as well, but decided to take that social enterprise route. And in a different, in a different workshop, we'll explain to you why and what the pitfalls. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. It really just depends on that model. But thank you so much for
sharing.
Oh yeah, our successes. Now, I'm not one to gloat. I actually absolutely hate talking about our successes, but I think it is important to touch on this. And I think as women in general, we tend to shy back from this. So just even from a personal standpoint of your successes. So I'm just going to go in, and if you guys think that I'm blowing my own horn, so be it. So we were finalists of the Kickstarter program, which was funded by Macquarie Group Foundation as well as Separate Partnerships. So this was a program that was for startups across Australia, and we made it to top 12. And the picture over there is us and a couple of our cohorts in that program. We're also the winners of the Venture Dorm Pre-Accelerator program at Flinders University, which is where we're presenting from. And Mercy is currently judging and mentoring the Australian E-Challenge or Shark Tank E-School, which is a competition for startups here in South Australia. So we're certainly putting our mind there. We also were successful in obtaining a grant from the Department of Innovation and Skills. And I'm just going to put a caveat there. This was after we had applied for like 101 grants. So keep doing it, and we're going to keep applying for those grants. And we're also blessed to be mentoring 2 interns from Flinders University, Millie Farmer, who's our marketing communications, as well as Katie Sessions. So yes, those are just a few of our successes. And because I don't like gloating, I would love for you guys to share your personal successes or business successes as well. So the floor is yours.
Yeah. And even if you're not necessarily in, thinking about creating a startup, I think one of the biggest differences that we always want to push on is sharing stories of just women in general, like anything that you've done, even if it's just like a little achievement, even this past week, this past year, we want to hear about it. And we want to promote you because that's something that is so important to us. So we want to open up the floor for anybody who would like to share.
Now I really feel as though I was gloating.
Could I call out on somebody? So we have Ellen in the call. Maybe she could just wave and say hello. She actually is based here. So we are actually presenting today from the NVI at Flinders University, and she's based here, and she has a wonderful business. So maybe she could just share a little bit about herself and her success.
Yeah, no, I was actually inspired by your milestones, girls. So I've just posted that on our chat. It's actually very inspiring, and joining you girls in our Venture Dorm program and seeing how your business got was developed, and also how when you combine the passion that you have with something that helps other women entrepreneurs. Yeah, so just a quick introduction about myself. So I've met Mercy and Letisia at the New Venture Institute, Venture Dorm, and my business is digital marketing strategy platform for small businesses. So I also like to bring my passion, which is helping other business and startups, into what I've done for 15 years in my corporate life, which was marketing and digital marketing.
And she's done an amazing strategy for us, which will, lead us into 2021. And she's really great just working with her, making that connection and sharing our journeys together. We've been able to grow and develop, last month, to say the least. We didn't even have any strategy in place. And it's just been a process of, sitting with somebody like her and her business, and just her looking into our startup and saying, these are areas where I feel like you can improve and make it better. So that's just been amazing working with you, Ellen.
Thank you. The same applies to you, and how inspired I am by having you girls nearby and being able to join these kind of events.
Anybody else?
I am going to do the same thing. Sorry, Sandra, were you saying something? Go. Yes, I was going to select you anyway.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on your successes, and also this being is this your first workshop?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I guess from my end, I've only completed one project, which I feel was quite a success. I'm not sure if some of you are from Sydney. It was for a restaurant called A Little Lagos. It's a Nigerian restaurant out in Newtown. And I managed to get a online publication for a design blog from New York, and a magazine feature, which will be coming out soon in Australia.
Wow. Yay. Yeah. We'd love to share your story on our platform. So really be shouting it out and sharing more about you, so that even people in South Australia can hear about what you're doing, and also just, keep pushing it, even with people who are in different parts of the world. We'd love to share that. Yeah.
And Mamusu, just seeing your comment, we'll definitely connect you to Ellen from the briefing room.
One more person. All right, we'll just continue.
Everyone's too humble.
Everyone's too humble.
I just want to congratulate you both for your achievements.
Thank you.
This is really exciting, just listening to you. It's like I don't know you guys. I'm getting to know you now.
Yeah.
It's really good. Thanks for inviting me to be part of this. And my question, I guess, would be, what are the requirements for someone who would like to work with you, other than them to be able to develop some sort of products?
I think we're still that's a good question. We want to hear from you. What is it that you feel like you need, and how could we create a space that provides that need to you? So we'd love to hear more about, what potentially you're looking at doing, because another market that we haven't really looked at is the service market. And there's so many women who are developing businesses in the service market. And we still are in the process of trying to understand how we can meet their needs as well. Because we're an online platform that focuses on products, we still want to be able to, connect with women who are also in the service market, whether it's through our workshop or other ways. So we're still in the process of understanding, and we'd love to hear more about your needs, even if you can share some of that on the comment section, or just reach out to us.
Hi, ladies. I wanted to ask a question. but because I'm listening with my children, I didn't. My name is Keleto. I run a business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm running outside so my kids don't scream. Yep. And I have a question. You know, it's wonderful we get grants. My biggest question now is, okay, say you are not a startup. You know, you've started up, you've got the grants, you've got, you know, the business plan, you've put the marketing in place, you've optimized a little bit, and you know, you've got one client or two or something like that, and you're not a startup. Like, what then? Like, a lot of businesses and a lot of informations I find are based on how to start. Then after you've implemented that, what's next? How do you leverage, you know, from there? What's the next planning phase in the way of, and how do you get resources to better meet you on your next level?
Yeah. So just so that I understand your question, Keleto, you're basically saying that you've got the capital, you've got, you know, you've got traction in terms of, I guess, customers, but you don't necessarily have the business or the startup up and running. Is that what you're saying? And what happens next?
No, I mean, a lot of information I get. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. It's raining. I'm in Sydney and it's raining and I'm outside. So a lot of information I see in business platforms is how to start. How to start. You know, the first 12 months, the first 2 years of a business. And it's all great. And it helps you to begin something. And, you know, you get to a level where it's like, okay, what do we do now? How do we move to the next, you know, how do we optimize what we have started? How do we rebrand and move to, you know, tailor our customers? You know what I mean? Yes, that's my question. I don't know if I've
I totally understand your question now. You cut out a bit. You have. You cut out a bit, but I think we can understand. I think the most important thing is what your vision and what your mission is. You know, are you planning to get to a certain level, and when you do get there, you know, what are you doing next? I guess in order for your business to survive and for longevity, you kind of need to know what you're going to be doing next. And what we did with Briefing Room is that we brought in somebody who could strategize in terms of where we were going to take the business after we reached a certain point. It could be through collaborating with another business to pivot. It could be getting new networks on board. And I would say the first thing you want to do is network, and get a team and get that team to just strategize, let's say, the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Otherwise, you do find that your business will just sort of stay at that level, and then depending on the economy, will either taper off or just, you know, remain there. So, and that's what we also just want to do. We want to hear from people like you. You're I guess, in the fortunate stance where, you know, you have started your business and it seems to be, you know, going in the direction that you want it to be. But just having those networks to maybe find out another avenue in which you can get an opportunity for growth is something that I would definitely say try and get. And that could be with, you know, anybody who can give you that strategic foreplan.
The other thing too that I wanted to mention was that we'll have specific workshops, maybe even tailored for, you know, businesses that are just starting up, and then we'll have some that are tailored to businesses that are already established and running, and, you know, their needs might be very different to businesses that are just in the initial stages. And also we'll look at also focusing on some of our workshops on the scaling up. So what do you do after you've reached, you know, your maximum? For example, if you're in Sydney and you want to expand into a different market, potentially even look at a different market here in Australia or in other parts of the world, we'll focus our workshop also on that scaling up platform. So just keep a lookout on some of our stuff that's going to be coming up that could also, answer some of those questions in a bit more detailed way. So hopefully we've answered. I know it may not be the direct answer that you may want right now, but hopefully it gives you a bit of, thinking around that. So we'll just continue from there, and I think we've reached a good section, and your question was really good into segueing us into this point. So when we look at the current economy, we're seeing just a lot of doom and gloom, and there's a lot of talks, even just reading the newspaper or turning on your news, there's just a lot of uncertainty with the future, with people losing their jobs, companies having to lay off their employees, and applying for grants in order to get even their business back up and running. So one thing that I think we wanted to mention was that in this uncertainty, there's a potential for opportunity. I think we should look at it in a way that we can see, even if we look at it, companies like Uber, companies like Airbnb started during a recession, and they picked up. They had to, become adaptable and change their business model in order to fit into the new normal. And the new normal right now, we don't really know what it is. So I think it's important for us to also keep our business model, always going back to your business model, laying it down, writing out who your customers are, looking at that, trying to adapt into this new normal, trying to understand what their needs might be, trying to understand if your value is meeting those needs. Maybe before you were a product-based business, but now because of COVID, you might see a potential in moving into the service business. So I would really encourage everybody to also look at their business model and their value proposition canvases. Try to look at that, analyze it again, and see if it's still meeting the needs of our current economy. And also just stay positive, because in this downturn, something is going to happen. I feel like there's going to be a shift and an opportunity for us to leverage on this. Yeah. And one of the tools that we have on our platform, we currently have, Millie did a lot of research into actually this blog post. So she looked at the Australian budget, and she's sort of like just looked at it and said, what does it mean for women entrepreneurs? Are there any opportunities? So she's outlined, the potential opportunities, the grants that are available. So if you go to our website, this is a key resource that I think everybody should look at. There's a lot of opportunity. We've actually seen a grant for women in STEM and entrepreneurs to apply for. So I'd encourage everybody with a business to apply for it. Tell us how the application process has gone. If you're successful in getting a grant, we'd love to hear more about how you did the application, what challenges maybe you experienced in putting it together. And if there's something specific that you're also applying for that we might be able to help out in, please reach out to us and let us know how we can help and support you.
Thank you. So now, just to summate everything that we've sort of talked about, I'm going to talk about, and this might not be relevant for everybody, but where to get started. And as Mercy touched on quite extensively, it is looking at that business model and that value proposition and ensuring that your business aligns with the needs of your customers. And it can be, that that model will change according to your customers' preferences as well, because last week or pre-COVID, our customers' preferences may have been completely different to now post-COVID. So it's always going back and reiterating that and testing it as well. What we find is that people will test it once and
put it aside,
and that will be gold. But going back, having those focus groups, those interviews, questionnaires, and changing it, even when you do have that, changing it to then get more information from your customers. The other thing I will also push is government grants, as many as you can find. Even if you feel that you satisfy 80% of the requirements, push those grants. Opportunities such as networking. What we did when we started was network. Sorry, I can't use terrible terms, but we networked a lot, networked through our cohort, through universities, through just even people who we started speaking to randomly. And that has brought us to a place where we have these networks and links. And then the last thing also is our upcoming workshops. So we do invite you, we also ask you to invite friends who you think may find our workshop of a benefit, people who are starting up, people who have started up, to just sign up onto Her Rise Up. And everything that we've mentioned here in terms of our business model canvas and value proposition, as well as grants, is all available for you guys on our platform.
So upcoming in the new year, in 2021, we're hopefully just praying that we'll have a positive year. 2020 has just been something else. So we're looking forward to having workshops starting early 2021 and into the year. So we hopefully will have 10 workshops, and they'll focus on different aspects. So send us your ideas, send us your thoughts on what you want us to actually talk about, what you want us to focus on. Different people might be in different aspects of their businesses. So feel free to, tell us, maybe, curate this one to be specifically to startups, curate this one to be specifically to scale-ups, just let us know what your thoughts are. And then we'll have a launch party in mid-2021. We're hoping that flights will be available so that you guys can join us here in Adelaide to, just celebrate with us. And we want to celebrate with you as well, and everything that you've been able to achieve. And then just really pushing and scaling up our business model and our platform to other businesses and other markets.
Yeah, so what do we do next? Sign up, connect your friends, connect other people, and just let us get this ship moving. I'm so excited about the future. I have met phenomenal women entrepreneurs, just like yourselves. And I feel like this is a platform that we could just all connect, even if it's just to encourage one another or share our stories. We definitely encourage that. I'd also like to give out a shout out to our interns, Millie and Katie. You've been fantastic. But also just want to thank you guys as well for being on this call, listening to us gab, and also just for your questions. And we're really open to questions, and also just even general feedback, even if it's to say, Tish, maybe sit up straight or something like that. We're just very open. So yeah, I'll leave the floor open for questions right now.
The movement has run back up in the chat. This might be even one that's good for a specific workshop, but it says, my question is, how can a service-based business generate income when our end goal is to enable access to services that don't, for the most part, require a fee and also don't look to charge our target demographic to utilize our service?
That's a really good question. And one thing that I always say, even for us, we've been so scared to think about a pricing model for our platform because we're like, nobody's going to buy it. Let's just offer it for free. But do it in the beginning. Like in the beginning, establish that even if I'm going to offer one freemium option, I still need to make money. You can't be sustainable in the future if you're not making money. And I feel like we need not to be scared to put a price tag, even if it's a service business. There's still value in that, and you need to be able to identify what your value is and start capturing it as soon as possible. Test it out with a few people for free, but eventually you need to put a pricing model on that, and that's something that we'd love to work out and dig deeper in at a later date.
And also, just because something is free doesn't necessarily mean that your customers are going to think, oh my goodness, we're definitely going to jump on board. Sometimes it's those ones that have those fee and considerable fees are the ones that attract people, because then there's that automatic, okay, they must be good, they must be trustworthy, they must have you know, good resources and so forth. So yeah, it's a very tricky one, and as Mercy said, we've certainly had differing opinions on that.
Yeah. So even at the moment where we're testing our fee on our platform, so we have, you know, you can sign up on the platform for free. You can put one product on the platform for free and start selling it, and you will have access to the workshops for free. However, if you want to move into a different, you know, start selling more products, we're still thinking and testing that, and we'd love to hear, you know, there's going to be a survey that's actually going to come through at the end of this call, and we'd love to just see, you know, what are people willing to pay for something like this to continue, because we can't have this platform, unfortunately, without, you know, making money in order to continue curating the courses, continue, you know, developing ourselves as well. Yeah.
Quick question. Is it possible for us to get a list of links to all these businesses that you women have? Because I'd love to check it out.
Yeah. So we can definitely facilitate that, and pass on the links and just share that amongst yourselves.
Cool. Thanks.
Any other questions? How are people in Sydney?
Sydney's cold. I do have to jump off, but thank you, ladies, so much for setting this up. It's an incredible platform, and I'm really grateful to see that our fellow sisters are just rising up above mediocrity and being the best versions of themselves. And so I'm really excited to join this community. With the links that are being shared, will that be sent to our registration emails?
Yeah, so we'll send through, we'll send through the registration emails, like a newsletter, and then it'll identify all the businesses in it so that we can read up more and follow and just continue growing, really.
Brilliant. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you. It was lovely meeting you. All right, so if there are no last closing questions, I think we will bid everybody adieu.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so thank you so much, guys, and have a fantabulous week. And yes, you'll be hearing from us very soon. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, thank you. Bye.